Alright, I should be streaming, probably, maybe, and such. So, a few little tidying up things to do. Popping the chat out, so we'll do that. And, and then eventually we might get to some brozo comments, but we'll see how things go. Seldom worth the trouble. So I still have to assign this to this, and then I have to bring it up a notch or two. There we go. Alright, so we can see if there's any comments. I guess I'll put them over here. Well, if I put them over there, you can't see them. I can put them right there, and then they'll be sort of out of the way, but we'll see if anybody says anything. That'll work, I think. Alright. So, so for 2 years I've been making this contention that 1/2 mv squared as a formula is nonsense, and then all the related formulas are garbage, which would mean the work equation, work equals force times distance, and that doesn't work, okay, because it's not about how far something goes, it's about how much time it takes it to go there, is more important, and that relates to mgh. So, alright, so the simple argument is physics says this isn't any work. Okay, holding this up against gravity, it doesn't take any work, so it doesn't matter. I could make it 100 pounds. And physics says if I hold the 100 pounds steady in one position, I'm not doing any work. Yeah. That's not very smart, frankly. They probably shouldn't say something that stupid. Anyway, so the idea is that anytime I take a mass and a velocity, because of the squared term, okay, you can understand that the smaller I make the mass and the bigger the velocity, the squared term means it gets exponential in terms of its energy. So their theory is it takes 4 times the fuel, erase anything, 4x the fuel to go 2x, okay, the speed. You could say fuel here. Anyway, so it's kind of a simple argument, and then the argument would be is that 5-ton trains going 10 miles an hour have twice the energy of 10-ton trains going 5 miles an hour. And so it seems like this should be easy stuff to prove. There'd be some evidence somewhere of 5-ton trains always winning tug of wars, and when they smash into each other, the 5-ton train will plow push the 10-ton train tons and tons of distance. There should be some evidence, okay, that's how the physical universe works. And the argument is all the evidence points exactly in the opposite direction. That springs, for example, are compressed linearly, okay, with weight, alright, and twice the weight, twice the compression, and that weight is just an expression of energy, frankly. That weight is energy. That's what mv would be, it's your weight. You have to have a velocity to have a weight. So, I've made these points over and over again, right? I'm being pushed into the earth. This is the theory they have to counter-argue. That's the theory I'm interested in hearing a counter-argument to. Okay, that I don't have any weight until I have motion. But instead they find all kinds of abstract, bizarre things to do and claim it's a counter-argument of some kind, when clearly it's not. Alright, so I've described a simple experiment, so let's go over it one more time, right? It probably won't be the last, right? You just have to keep saying it and saying it. So mgh, they call this potential energy. So when they're going to talk about potential energy in like gravity, they'll use this term. And the small g represents the 9.8 meters thing, not the big G gravitational constant thing, but it's obviously one's derived from the other. This is a constant. It's not very interesting. We could just make it 10 and who cares. So it's really just mass and height, which would be parallel to mass and velocity. And the simple argument is these two things are not the same thing. Height in gravity does not produce a commensurate, the same increase in velocity. So the simple experiment is a scale measuring the weight. I'll put a little scale on here. Alright, you really don't need all that crap. But anyway, and the simple argument I'm making is that if I did lift things to this height and drop them, okay, this distance, it will register a weight. And so let's just say that registers 1 ounce for the sake of an argument. Okay, so it equals 1 ounce from this 1 unit of distance. So 1 unit of distance, I guess I should change that. Yeah, so 1 unit of distance equals 1 unit of measurement of weight. And so simply you could argue logically that if I put another same mass at the same distance, the same height, and dropped it on a scale, that it will just double that. And so now I'll have 2 units of height, and therefore I have 2 ounces of weight. Now, if I take something and drop it from 4 times higher, alright, so I take 1 unit of mass, and I gravitationally height it, okay, 4 units of height difference. Frankly, that's, this is the argument, right? 4 times the height, but it's only going to be twice the velocity. That's all you're going to get, okay? It's only going to take twice the time, and the fact is it's only going to weigh twice as much, twice the weight. So all I'm going to get out of that, 4, okay, I'm going to go 4 units. So, so 2 units equals 2 ounces, and then I'm going to do 4 units, and it's going to equal 2 ounces. So, well, that's a little bit irritating. Your plan did not work. Okay, I guess some plans are just not as good as you think they are. Alright, I don't need to move that one. I need to move this stupid thing. Alright. So, clearly, it doesn't work mathematically. So if you accept the argument, you don't have to, but I'm just saying, I'm just telling you that's how it works out. I mean, you know this 2x the velocity thing. You know the spring, how it works, okay? So, I mean, it's really hard to evade the, intuitional understanding that, yes, 4 times the height is really only going to double the weight. It's not going to weigh 4 times as much from 4 times the height. And again, so you have a formula that tells you this, okay, equals this. 2 equals 4. That's what it says, overtly. So you do your formula, you do your calculations, and you get the answer 2 equals 4. Now, you don't have to be an Einstein to say 2 can't equal 4. That can't be right. So what could be broken here? Well, obviously this could be broken. And if I just change this to t, time, then it's all fine again. Now it's fixed, okay? It's all better because I only have 2 units of time. So when I lifted it 4 times the distance, it's only going to take it twice the time to fall that it takes these little ones time to fall. So they're going to take a certain unit, 1 unit of time, and this whole thing here will be 1 unit of time. So it'll only be 2 units of time. So I've only doubled the time, and now we have 1 object. So it's, 2 times 1, and then in this case it's 2 times, 2 units of times, 2 objects, whoops, 2 objects going 1 unit of time. And that makes sense, right? 2 equals 2. So that works. So this is the correct interpretation of how you understand something's potential energy. You understand it as how much time will it take it to fall? How long will it be freely falling in the gravity? That decides how much motion it's going to acquire. So it works for all the orbital stuff. I'm sure Newton did this kind of thing all the time to figure out stuff. That was part of the calculation, was how fast is it going, how long will it be in the gravity. That'll decide how much the gravity will influence it. And the trick is that anytime you contacts something, anytime something touches something, so if it's being influenced by gravity, but then it touches another object, okay, well, or there's a string tied to it, or some other mechanism to slow it down, that's just taking its energy. So if I roll something down a ramp, all I'm doing really is I'm extending the amount of time it'll take it to fall. So I'm not mgTing anymore, because I've broken the T part. It's not free falling. And what I'm basically doing is forcing the energy. I'm sucking energy out into the ramp. So the longer I make the ramp, the more energy I suck out, and the longer it takes to finally get to the double the velocity. Because I keep taking energy out through friction. You can sort of understand that the longer the ramp, the more time there is, and the more friction is possible, because you're traveling across more surface. Yeah. So, I mean, what's missing from this argument? This is what I'm seeking, is, some recognition of a theory that says, no, you're wrong about this, or you're wrong about that, that doesn't happen, this doesn't, some sort of point they're raising that's relevant to this elemental argument, that 2 does not equal 4, that this equation says 2 equals 4. That can't be true. So it can't be about units of distance, because it's saying 2 equals 4, and 2 can't equal 4. So really, what's the point? What's the argument? Where's the argument? There can't be really an argument. All right. So that's the mgh is mgT. Now let's do the 1/2 mv squared one, just for the sake of completion of the points in one piece of video. So there's a point made about how gravity works. It's completely time dependent. Now I'm seeking an argument from somebody that demonstrates that it's not time dependent. That's not about how long you fall in gravity, free fall in gravity, that it's about something else. Where they're demonstrating that when something does fall in gravity, that somehow its energy, okay, is increasing at this exponential rate, okay. And I'm arguing that no, it's going twice as fast from 4 times the height. It doesn't hit the ground with 4 times the energy. It will not move 4 times the matter when it hits the ground, using the same weights. Alright, so I've pointed out that this balance idea, and we'll try to be careful in how we draw it. So we really don't care about what kind of fulcrum you use, but some sort of non-frictional, frictional, minimal friction. And then the idea will be to hang the weights so we don't have any issues about moving them sideways or at arcs or any of that stuff. All they do is move up and down. And it theoretically doesn't matter whether I make this string longer, okay, and I hang it down here. It still weighs the same, right? If I put a 10-pound weight on a string and I hold it up, it doesn't matter how long I make the string, it's not going to weigh more or weigh less because I made the string longer. So really just talking about a pressure put on this, all right, a downward pressure, downward pressure, okay. Yeah, I put the same weight, 1 and 1, okay, and it's balances, okay. And I could put a little bit of energy in, that is, I can, provoke it with energy, and I can watch it oscillate. And it'll oscillate, if you make it well, it could oscillate 100 times. And what is happening when it's oscillating? Okay, the theory is the energy from this side, where you put the energy in, you initiated some energy, with that push this up in gravity, all right? And you'll end up with a circumstance where, because of the way it has to go through the lever, all right, that any tilt in this bar will essentially be felt as a change in gravitational potential, all right, and that's what's going to make it oscillate. So as you push down here, you'll end up pushing this weight up, and now this weight will want to balance with this weight, and so it'll just keep pushing the energy back into gravity, then back down, back up into gravity, back down. So it's using gravity to store the energy. That's the theory, that it's storing the energy in the mgT thing. Okay, but obviously the time is going to be kind of fudgy, okay, because of the fact that you're not letting anything free fall. So that's the key feature of the lever. So I mean, once you accept that, yes, it balances and it will oscillate, okay, you put energy in, the energy will stay in the system of the lever and it will oscillate. And the point being raised is that I can do the same thing here. I can put a 2 mass here, I can put a 1 mass over here, and I can do the same thing. From the perspective of this fulcrum, this side weighs the same as this side. It's applying the same pressure because, like you in gravity, you know, you're getting pushed down by gravity. The earth pushes you back. That's the part you feel, is the earth pushing you back. You don't feel the gravity because, as I pointed out, it evenly pushes all of your little bits. And the way you can feel something is there has to be something uneven happening. Okay, so the even gravity is unsensible, and the completely uneven, the even gravity, I hope I said that right, the completely uneven pressure applied by the earth, that is, it pushes on the stuff touching the earth, and then has to go through the rest of you. The push has to go through the rest of you, and it's going to be very uneven, and you're going to feel that. And that's what you feel. Now, these are physics arguments to be countered by some sort of counter argument. That's what I'm seeking, is a counter argument. Alright, now that can include a piece of evidence, but it should come with theory. Okay, it should come with an explanation for how you think it works alternatively to what I am describing. Alright, so the idea would be is this will balance. Okay, twice this distance is a sort of like a spring law, this law. This is a kind of set law, okay, that you go twice the distance, you can half the mass, and you go 3 times the distance, you go 1/3 the mass, and then you go 1/4 the mass at 4 times the distance. And those weights will be the same because what's really happening is you're just changing the motion here, the velocity. So that's what's getting changed. This will move that much, and this out here will move twice as much. So you get 2x, the velocity, for this one object, and this twice as massive object will only be going 1x. So momentum works. Okay, the small mass and the big velocity equals, okay, the big mass and the smaller velocity, the half velocity. So it works. It perfectly explains this. Momentum works. Now kinetic energy, on the other hand, goes all kinds of fluky because of the squared term. This ends up having to have twice as much energy. Okay, so again it's saying, you know, in this case 1 equals 2. Okay, 1 doesn't equal 2, 1 doesn't equal 4, 2 doesn't equal 4. It doesn't add up, it doesn't work. So the kinetic energy, if we were just to use some round number, says there's 200 energy units here and only 100 energy units going up and down on this side. Now you could sort of understand that an oscillator couldn't work that way. It can't have 100 joules of motion, can't be producing 200 joules of motion on the other side. So the whole gravity being the storage device doesn't work. So you have to explain how it's possible that I could put 100 joules of motion in, motion representing 100 joules, and I can get 200 joules of motion out, which would be free energy, and it can't be that easy, and that doesn't make any sense. So why do I have to counter argue something that doesn't make any sense at all? So yeah, this is an experiment that's doable, in terms of at least creating the oscillator and then oscillating it. Now, some people are saying that somehow it matters how fast this all oscillates. How fast it moves is some representation or changes this fact. And it won't change this fact, right? No matter how slowly this oscillates, it's still going to have twice as much energy on one side that's on the other side. You can't change this relationship. This 2-to-1 relationship cannot possibly be changed. No matter what you do, you can't break the straightness of the lever. So the fact is, you're going to have to move this twice as fast for every motion this takes. So yeah, you can make this move slower, and then this will move slower. Or you can move this slower, and that'll move slower. But there's no other way to do it. And so how would that change the equation? How does that reclimate 1/2 mv squared to say it oscillates at a different speed when I change, when I put 1 or 4 or 10, when I change these numbers? I'm certainly not changing the ratio numbers any. And to argue that it has less total energy doesn't fix the problems with this. So my theory, the theory I've put forward as an explanation for how this functions and why it works. So this is what a Newton's cradle can't do. So a Newton's cradle can't. So let's say in theory we find a good way of doing the experiment. Because it takes a little bit of work to make sure you can catch things. And so the idea would be, instead of putting in energy to an oscillator, the idea would be is you just make it a step simpler. Alright, and you just drop a 2 mass right here. Alright, and then you see you have a 1 mass already on the lever here. And all you're doing is saying is, will this falling energy, the energy this has when it hits the lever, match the energy that leaves the lever? So this will be leaving at a velocity. Now the simple argument is what's going to take place is the 10-ton train, so to speak, going 5 miles an hour is going to make the 5-ton train going 10 miles an hour. The thing with, the theory says 1/2 mv squared says this will have twice as much energy. And it'll be clear that it can't possibly make that free energy. So it can't work. But why does it work with momentum? Is the simple argument is what's going to happen here is that this 2 mass is going to be going a small v, right? It's going to have the big M and the small v, and we're going to convert it simply into just half the mass and twice the velocity. So we're just going to do that simple conversion. And all the conversion requires is that this decelerate and this accelerate, at the right rate for obtaining that velocity. So you can just sort of understand, if I drop the 2 mass and I had a 2 mass here, it would have to leave at the same velocity this fell at. Pretty close to it, right? A little bit of losses, but the idea would be as you push one thing in, the other thing flies off at the same speed. The 2 mass. And because you're duplicating, you're basically doing a Newton's cradle, right? You have a cue ball hitting another pool ball, or you have a Newton's cradle where you've swung these things in, and now they're going to hit each other, and all the energy is going to be moved from here to here, all of it. So this will leave with the same velocity this had going in. And the reason why that works with masses that are equal is because the rate of acceleration matches. Gee, that's awful glary again, damn it. Always these little crappy, subtle bullshit issues. It's irritating. Alright, so what's its issue? I hate moving anything because it tends to sometimes cause everything to turn to shit. It freezes. I think yeah, it's still there. Okay. Alright, so so when the masses are equal, then the acceleration, this one's going to start decelerating. It's going to start, its velocity goes down, and it goes down at exactly the same rate that this one goes up, and so they match. And the fact is what the lever allows is for you to match, the deceleration of this to the acceleration of this. This will accelerate at twice the rate which this half mass needs. This one mass needs to be accelerated twice the speed that this needs to accelerate. If I had a 2 mass here, it would need to accelerate at half that speed. But this matches the speed that it needs to accelerate at. So now you can duplicate the perfection of the Newton's cradle, and you can take a 1 mass and put it into a 2 mass, or create a 2 mass and put it into a 1 mass, because you can now match the rate of acceleration to the rate of deceleration. And if those two things match, then the energy just flows from one right into the other. Just flows from one object right into the other object. No breaking. It's when you have to do a conversion, that is when you have to make something, atoms in something move a speed the total object can't move at. So if I hit something with something going fast, okay, a high velocity and a small mass, then when the energy is going into the bigger object, it's going to be pushing little bits faster than the whole object can move. And that's not going to work, right? Little pieces of me can't go faster. All of me has to go, or none of me goes, right? The collective has to go. So what has to happen is this energy has to bounce around in here until it spreads the velocity to other atoms and diminishes the velocity, to a balanced average. And all of that takes time. And there's no time here. The contact is limited. There's no time to do all this balancing. So the energy doesn't work. And part of it is too, it's just you're defecting the surface because you're hitting it with velocity that the whole object can't move, and that's, you're compressing atoms and you're pushing them into each other, moving them around, doing all kinds of distortion, and that isn't going to make the whole object move either. So there's lots of reasons you can understand that the secret to transferring energy is matching a deceleration to an acceleration. If you match them, okay, by creating some mechanism to increase one or decrease the other, then you can transfer the energy. So that's a simple principle. But clearly the argument is we just need this experiment, right? We just need to see this, okay? See the 2 mass go in at half the velocity and the 1 mass leave, okay, with twice that half, or 1 velocity, or 1 to 2, however you want to look at it. But that's the key, because if you can do that, then you can prove that 1/2 mv squared can't be true. But if you can get this to leave at 1.4 the velocity, yes, then you can demonstrate that this doesn't require twice as much energy. But then you're going to have an impossible problem because we already know the weight of this and the velocity it's necessary, and that's not going to add up then. If you use a spring here, that's not going to make any sense, the 1.4 thing, because we already know the rules. Alright, that's probably enough of that. So those are the 2 big subjects. So now we'll go read some Brozo comments in the context of these are the arguments. Whatever they're arguing or showing or demonstrating doesn't have anything to do with these arguments. Again, I've made this simple point. Okay, yeah, I'll do that one simple argument. I mean, I'm saying something so simple, and then they're just sitting there overtly not doing, not paying any attention to what I'm saying, and pretending they're proving something in some other dimension, some crap that, really isn't on the point or near the point, and then claiming that somehow I have something to worry about, or I have to somehow counter-argue their mush. So I've made a simple argument that if I did create a lever, pen is about done, I guess, and I put a fulcrum on here. Okay, so I could put a 2 mass at 1 distance, or I can put a 1 mass at 2 distances. And I'm arguing that those 2 things are exactly the same. I can't, if I put this on the lever to this side, if I hit this side right here, this location, I push on that one location. I don't move some other location. I just push on that one location. And I put a 2 mass over here. Alright, it'll feel like, okay, because that's the same distance, whatever this weighs is what it's going to feel like. Okay, so So whatever its mass is, I'm going to feel it. So let's just say it weighs 9 pounds. All right, I'm going to feel 9 pounds of pressure. And the simple argument is if I put the one mass twice the distance, I'm going to get exactly that same number. Okay, it weighs half as much, has half the mass, but it's going to be moving twice the velocity. For every little push here, it'll be twice as much movement. So it's going to come up to the same 9 pounds. I won't be able to feel the difference. I won't be able to tell the difference between the one mass at twice the distance or the two mass at this distance. Now, you could just put a scale upside down here and just measure the weights, I guess. You could measure it by using a spring, okay, attached here, you know, and you could see that the spring expands and contracts exactly the same for the one mass and the two mass, that there isn't any difference in the spring compression. It says it's the same thing, and if you wobble it or jitter it or affect it, it's going to be affected the same way. It's going to jitter at the same rate. So that's one way of testing it. Now they're saying the way to test it is to roll a string on here and spin the whole thing around. I can't see how that's connected at all. Not even close. And then they're saying that if I put the two mass on this other side, okay, because it's the same, all right, as this. And so I put the two mass here, one distance, and then I have the one mass one distance, and now somehow this won't oscillate at the same speed as if the two mass is here. So the oscillation speed will change. Now if the oscillation speed changes, then the velocities are changing. So, but they're still stuck at being 2 to 1. This will still be twice the velocity of this. So it still has too much kinetic energy on one side than the other side. But you're just saying that somehow the total system has less energy. When I would argue, well, that can't be true. No, sorry, that doesn't make any sense. You have it balanced with two objects. You put energy in. When I put the one out here, I haven't changed that balance at all. So, But anyway, just to point out that obviously the simple test of saying this weighs the same as that from the perspective of this location, I couldn't tell the difference pressing on this location whether I had a 1 or a 2 here. A 1 or a 2 here. Seems a simple enough experiment. And but you're not going to disprove it by spinning the whole lever. Anyway, but that's what they're attempting to say. They somehow have proven something. No, I don't think so. Certainly not proven anything. Alright. So let's see if there's any comments. Whoops, that's the wrong thing. What the hell was that? That's the old background. I don't want to move that, I guess. I need this little thing here. Yeah, that's it. Okay, no comments yet, right? No. Alright, so we'll move on to the Brozo comment section. And it should be quite horrible. Let's see if there's anything new. I'll have to wait for the commercial, of course. Commercials on these petty little shit videos. Just, what the fuck? Why would you put commercials on these shitty little videos? Anyway. Alright. So, see if that looks okay. Looks okay. I don't think there's anything new here. 19. I think that's the same as it was here before. Alright. So, let's read this one where he starts off with a big fat lie. Here it is. Yeah. Okay. So he can never get any facts right. Alright, so the following is a copy of my comment on Mindless Marmo's latest video, Quick Argument. Oh, so Mindless has a new video. I guess we'll have to go find that. To save time typing and the same information. So it says, in his second live stream of the day, he does address my short video in the first hour. So there was no second video of the day. So the live streams were 24 hours apart from each other, pretty much, whatever, 22 hours. But anyway, So hopefully he addresses your video here too. I hope he makes a better job of it though, because he twists the facts as follows. So he's saying that me pointing out these simple arguments about how I'm saying gravity works, gravity's time dependent, you're countering it with what? Where's your theory of how gravity works? You're saying it's not time dependent, it's distance controlled. So all you really have to do is show me it dropping 4 times the height and then it weighing 4 times as much. So if you just show me 4 times the height weighing 4 times as much, well, you win the argument. If you explain to me why scales don't collect energy, so that's a theory a lot of physicists have. They say scales don't collect energy. Well, what are they collecting then? What do we call the stuff they collect? Come on, it's just too silly. They're collecting the energy of the motion, and then they're giving it back again. I mean, they're collecting it. It doesn't make any sense at all, this nonsense. Alright, anyway. He claims the weights have to hang suspended below the bar. I'm suggesting that that's a good way to do it, because then you have a consistent amount of weight, pressure being applied to the lever. It makes the pressure even. No matter what position it's in, it's an even amount of weight. Yeah. Wrong. That alters the oscillation speed. Okay, that's your contention. Okay, I don't think you've demonstrated that. You may know the real reason, but my best guess is when I stumbled on this problem 6 months ago testing Michael Falwell's proposal. Well, you tested something probably pretty stupid. I guess it must be because as the bar rotates, so you're rotating a lever. You're not using it as a balance, you're rotating it? I don't know. An imaginary vertical line through the masses would be oscillating back and forth sideways. So there's no sideways, none of this stuff's a problem. So I have no confidence that he at any time tried suspending the weights from a piece of fishing line or something. I'm quite sure that never took place. Okay. Making the weights swing sideways. Yeah, says him, right? Yeah, says him. Using some of the energy. Thus it goes far slower. Well, who would really care, right? I mean, all you're really doing is trying to figure out whether it does the conversion. Whether the 2 mass at half the velocity does create the half mass at twice the velocity. And yes, that's what does happen. I will upload that experiment. Oh, how exciting. I'm sure this will be another steaming piece of irrelevant crap. Okay, it claims it doesn't matter how long the suspension strings are in that scenario. Yes, I claim it doesn't matter. If there's 10 pounds on a string and I make the string a foot long or 10 feet long, it's not going to change that it's 10 pounds that I have to hold up. Unlikely, but it needs testing rather than him just guessing and asserting it. So he thinks this is the kind of crap that needs testing. So he's not going to bother testing mgh. You know, this 4 times the height is somehow height tells you what the gravity is. And he's not going to test the simple energy conversion argument, which is if you match acceleration to deceleration, you will be able to transfer energy. So the fundamental arguments that I'm using against mv squared and mgh, you won't bother testing those. Alright, he claims he has to be a quick release by the mechanism. I claim that yes, in most circumstances, if you're going to be able to do any kind of clinical testing, you ought to be, just a precaution against the fact that you're going to have an uneven release and absorb some of the energy. The most energy is happening at the release, right? The more compressed the spring is, the more pressure and the more possible it is to waste some of the energy because of the higher pressure. So, you know, that's just even understandable from holding a balloon closed or something. The higher the pressure in the balloon, the more air you can let out by just a little tiny squeal, a little unevenness in your fingers, and a bunch of air can escape. But if it's under low pressure, well, then you don't lose too much. Show us your quick release method on your bar, Gary. I wasn't doing a clinical test. I wasn't counting how many times or how fast it was rotating or doing any of that crap. I was just pointing out that it perfectly oscillates, and it oscillates 50 times or 70 times. I mean, it takes a long time to dampen out. Okay, that's all I was showing. So I had no obligation to create a quick release because I didn't care how much energy was in the system. I wasn't doing a comparison. I wasn't doing two experiments and saying the two experiments are the same. So again, he can't say anything honest or be anywhere near the truth. Oh, that's right, you didn't use one, hypocrite. So I'm not a hypocrite because I wasn't making a comparison video. I wasn't creating a control and a non-control. I wasn't doing any kind of clinical experiment to detect any specific amount of energy. So it's just bullshit. I'm not obligated to quick release when I'm not doing some precise experiment. He claims the quick release mechanism must be near the fulcrum. Well, that's incorrect. So obviously I did it in a live video, okay, and it's the first time I thought about it. Where would you want to put the quick release on a lever? And my judgment was backwards in the sense that I thought about, well, close to the fulcrum it's moving slower, but it's losing, it's moving tiny bits of distance. So yeah, it's even more sensitive. So obviously you'd want the quick release as far out as possible because you have the less potential to lose energy, because of the tiny bit of distance you'll screw up. Even if your quick release isn't perfect, it won't mess it up too much. But obviously, again, anybody who saw the video, so I didn't say, well, after extensive study, I've come to the conclusion the best place for the quick release is the fulcrum. That's not what happened. Shit for brain. All right, he claims that me letting go by hand, yes, is not a good idea. Absorb some of the energy into my fingers, slowing it down. And he says LOL to that. So again, he really, it's just so stupid to make the argument that you don't understand how this is a real danger. I mean, I learned it from just doing one experiment. When I was just launching the little rubber bands with a slingshot, I realized how much better it will work if I don't use my hands, because my hands are way too slow. Releasing my fingers didn't work. Okay, the numbers were all over the place, and as soon as I created a quick release, the numbers got really tight and consistent. I mean, it's almost like there's so many things that are improved, crossbows and stuff, with a good trigger. Good triggers are essential to doing these experiments, and he's LOLing at the concept. I mean, it's hilarious. Absolute tosh. The release method has nothing whatever to do with the speed it oscillates at. I mean, that's just such a stupid thing to say. I mean, so obviously, if the lever is going to move and I screw up the movement, I'm basically stealing the energy of the gravity, right? Whatever movement it has started, I've absorbed it by touching it. It's like if something's falling in gravity and I have it hit a ledge first, and then it has to roll off the ledge and fall again, it's going to be falling from a different height. It's not going to get back the energy it lost when it hit this step here and then rolled down. It's only going to have the energy of this much shorter distance. I mean, what an idiot. And so he puts in capital letters, it only affects the amplitude. What do you think the amplitude represents, you lunatic? The amplitude represents how much energy is in the system. So of course, if you change the amplitude, you're changing how much energy is in the system. I mean, man, you can't. It's just surprising he can talk with such arrogance, and make these claims that everybody else is an idiot who doesn't believe what he believes when he believes things are so stupid. All right, he claims the 1-inch difference in the ultra-weight polyurethane lever ruins the results, and he says LOL to that. So he doesn't understand that it's not about having an extra inch on this end. It's about this one mass being an extra inch away from that fulcrum. That's what it's about, you moron. If you change the position of the lever, you're changing how much speed the thing's going to move at. A little bit in, it's moving at a slower speed. A little bit out, it's moving at a faster speed. So it's obviously its weight or the energy it absorbs is completely different. And you're too stupid to understand that? Amazing. Just amazing. Alright, that any extra, you can understand that even if it's a light substance and I put extra many units of distance from the fulcrum onto the lever, that it's obviously going to affect how bent or how much energy is going to be absorbed from one side to the other side. Now you could sort of see that from his experiment, right? The reason why it's 8 seconds long is because his lever was losing energy really quickly. Okay, I mean, it was oscillating almost to nothing really fast. That's part of the reason why we only got 8 seconds of fun, is because it was an uneven lever, an unbalanced lever. Alright. It's the same lever. So he's saying it doesn't matter where the fulcrum is, it's the same lever. No, that's not true. Retard. Okay, the fulcrum has to be in the middle of the lever, or it's not the same lever. It only looks 1 inch shorter because I had to remove it while it was attached to the 1/4 masses and 4x the distance from the fulcrum. It doesn't matter why. The fact is that it looks, and that looking, okay, in this case is not a good thing. It looks like it's not exactly in the right position, and that's critically important to how levers function. Where the fulcrum is really important. Oh, I mean, the fact that you have to say this to people. Because otherwise there was a risk of moving the stand with all the, and messing about and trying to attach. Well, then find a better way to do your experiment. I mean, it's not my bad because you didn't think it out very well. You should have just been able to hook the things on, or I use magnets because I could put the magnets anywhere just about. So you should have thought it out better, fuckhead. Anyway, trying to attach, and it would have spoiled my plan to superimpose the images, obviously. Well, obviously your result is flawed. I mean, that's not my fault. That's your bad. So again, you played a video that's obviously got these obvious corruptions. I mean, the very fact that it's clear that you didn't have the right starting time for the 2 levers. Okay, when I remounted, I had to make a slight adjustment to find the exact point of balance. So again, he's not finding the balance by measuring. He's finding the balance by readjusting the whole lever. So he's changed the distance between the 2 mass and the fulcrum. If you change the distance between the 2 mass and the fulcrum, you've changed what it weighs. You've changed its position. You've changed, now it needs more energy to move the same speed. I mean, you're really stupid. Oh, god damn. Alright, anyway. Well, 4 mass of the fulcrum, because otherwise there was a risk of moving the stand. Okay, we already did that. I had to make a slight adjustment to find the exact point of balance. So all he did was rebalance the lever in the wrong position with the weights on it, which is, you can't do it that way. So I concede it isn't perfect. It's a lot less than perfect. Okay, so the fact is whether this is at all useful in any kind of scientific investigation. I would say you're just making noise. Doing half-assed shit experiments is just noise making. And especially when you haven't even connected your experiment to the theory. You haven't in any way explained how this in any way demonstrates how 1/2 mv squared is vindicated. Where's your logic that this proves that momentum isn't a definition of energy? But it's still substantially a 4-to-1 relationship. So again, he's just making this up. Yeah, the weights weren't really the right weights, and he didn't put them in mathematically the right position, but he says it's a great experiment anyway. I mean, amazing. This is something I can improve on. Yeah, well, what you might want to say is you must improve on for anybody to take this seriously. There may be more claims that have slipped my mind, so I will check again later, whatever. He slandered me again, saying I was a child molester. Yes, because you just make up stories, so I can make up stories. I've seen little kitty toys in your house. There's, I've seen you call kids charming and, pretty or whatever. Have you seen you use these kind of words? I think you wrote a couple of songs about, kids' behinds or something. So like you, I'll just make up a story, okay? I mean, you made up stories about how I didn't have Verizon didn't cancel my internet account, and how this didn't happen and that didn't happen. And you can make up all these fucking stories, so I'll just make up stories about you, okay? You choose to make up your stories, I'll choose to make up my stories. All right, if those are going to be the rules, that's how we're going to play, fuckhead. All right, I'll take a tiny piece of little information and I'll make a preposterous story out of it. So what's the difference, fuckhead? I mean, you have, you have no right, okay, to make up your fake stories. Again, you started this video, this comment with a fake story in his second live stream of the day. There was no second live stream of the day. Fuck you. That's bullshit. All right, anyway. I had not reported it. Well, go ahead and then I'll report your video. So that's fine. And then we'll both get kicked off YouTube. That's okay, right? I have a website, so no big deal. But yeah, no, fuck you. Fuck you. Alright, I could copyright claim on your fucking bizarre uses of my clips. But I'm not gonna, I have no interest in playing that game. If you want to initiate the game, yeah, I'll fight back. Alright, it's because I am more interested in having a discussion about the actual topic. So let's understand how far he is from the actual topic. He says he has in some way proven that you can tell the difference between a 1 mass twice the distance and a 2 mass half the distance. 1 unit of distance. He says he can tell the difference. That he can create a machine that can tell the difference. And yet, he hasn't shown us that experiment. He's shown us, well, I'm going to whirl it around and that'll prove it. Yeah, I don't think that proves it. Oh, fuck. And he calls that the actual topic. I am not convinced he's actually thought about any of this except to plan his excuses. So, again, I couldn't make it more clear, right? At the beginning of this video, I talk about 2 different formulas. I talk about my reasoning about how they work, and I'm just pleading with them to do the same thing. Explain your reasoning. Explain how the kinetic energy thing happens. How the matter somehow, it isn't really transferring mass and velocity. It's transferring some magical, velocity squared-y thingy. Show me how you understand that to take place inside of matter. How does the matter know it's supposed to square the velocity? That's hilarious. Alright, he did his usual getting the wrong end of the stick on purpose, I suspect, of my long comment, but being careful to halt. See, she's telling another story before anyone got to see the referencing a different one of his experimental proposals. See, anyone got to see I was referencing a different one of his experimental proposals. Oh yeah, you put blanket quotes up. And again, quote mining, with no context or anything else. I've declared that I'm not an experimentalist. I've explained how I really don't have the environment to do it clinically and well. So it would be stupid for these experiments to be done by me as evidence. That would be more noise. Now, I'm pretty sure I can do it so I don't make as much noise as you. Okay, that it isn't just crap. Okay, like your music, it isn't just crap. But why not get somebody who can do it well? Alright. He refuses to do it himself. Yes, because I don't have a laboratory. Okay, I don't have the equipment required to do it perfectly. Or let's just say satisfactorily. Despite claiming it was simple. The experiments are pretty simple, I would argue. I mean, it doesn't sound very complicated to measure how much this spot weighs on a lever. That shouldn't be that complicated. And that he had no intention of doing it, even though it would supposedly settle the matters once and for all. So again, he's just taken these quotes out of context. The experiments done well will prove the point, right? Let's go see how much gas it takes to go 30 miles an hour and then see how much gas it takes to go 60 miles an hour. It's a simple enough experiment, right? Should I call that a complicated experiment? Is that what I'm supposed to say? Gee, that's such a complicated experiment. How the fuck could that ever be accomplished? But I'm simply telling you, I really don't have the ability to do the experiment clinically well enough, okay, to establish it as a scientific fact, to put it in the annals of evidence. It doesn't deserve it. An experiment done by me in this environment does not deserve to be in the annals of scientific proofs. Okay, just as yours don't. I'm sure he wants that experiment to never resurface, so I don't know what the fuck he could possibly be talking about. All of your videos are crap. Every single one of them. You never took down a video that wasn't a steaming piece of shit. So I may upload it. Please, go ahead. I don't know what the fuck you possibly could be talking about, but it must have been a piece of shit. So, go ahead. Upload all you like. Alright, so apparently there's another mindless marbles. But, I mean, all of this is just a lie. I mean, I can't make it any simpler in terms of drawing it and explaining what I contend, how the mechanism works. You do me the same honor of giving me some sort of reasoning that explains why I should believe that squared thing works, when I can prove, okay, that 4 times the distance does not equal 4 times the weight. You know, it's not 4 times the impact. It's not 4 times anything happening. Nothing will happen on the ground or on the scale or on any place I let the thing hit that'll demonstrate has 4 times the energy. So just show me that example. Show me something dropping 4 times the height, doing 4 times the damage. Show me. Okay. So we'll go to mindless marbles, apparently. Let's see if there's a new video there. It's probably on the other dopey channel. 2 days ago. Okay, let's see what this is. This one's 5 days. I haven't seen any of these. 6 days. I saw that one. So I don't know what this one. Oh, that was the second video he made where he didn't do anything but re-argue with the same point, that somehow spinning the lever is the same as pressing on it. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't seem a viable argument, frankly. Experimental footage. What the hell is that? He calls his channel experimental footage? Wait, how does he get that in there? That's strange. What is that? Is that a playlist or something? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Let's just play this piece of shit.
Plain and simple. Your business can't scale on QuickBooks. Here are 7 reasons why.
I mean, another guy with no views.
NetSuite is better than QuickBooks for your...
I wanted to provide
this crap. Okay, and so he's got his little computer doing the talking for him again. So it's another video that's just a text. So he could just post it as a comment, but instead does this crap for no good reason. Just, you know, it's like brozos typing in bold text. Alright, let's see what the description says. This is just a quick thought experiment demonstrating that Gary's notion of E equals mv is not consistent with conservation of energy. So this ought to be hilarious, right? I mean, really, momentum never fails. There's just no circumstance where you'll find momentum fails. Again, I could just do the 10-ton train plowing into the 5-ton train going twice as fast and just say, do you really think the 5-ton train wins? No false premises about levers are needed. Okay, so this ought to be funny. So let's go ahead and listen to this. This ought to be funny.
a quick reason why draft science's notion that E equals mv is wrong. This argument does not rely on the workings of levers or gears or pulleys.
So nothing commonly associated with energy conversion. Okay, so he's going to demonstrate it with an energy thought experiment with no mechanisms used to measure or convert energy. Oh, okay. That ought to be brilliant. Why didn't you say springs too? Levers, gears, pulleys, springs. You should have put springs in too.
All you need to agree to are the following three things.
Okay.
1. Energy can be reliably stored and released by suitable devices.
Okay, well that's a silly thing to say, because you don't think it's stored in springs. You don't think it's measurable by springs. So, we're already in big trouble.
2. The commonly accepted
Kinematics is just a, again, that's just like baby talk. What the fuck does that mean? Oh, hilarious.
kinematics of objects in a uniform gravitational field.
La 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 la. So, yes, a uniform gravitational field where what? They're free falling or not free falling?
Field that were discovered by Galileo's time hold.
Well, good. So then you already understand that Galileo already explained to you it's twice the time, not 4 times the energy. It's just twice the time, twice the energy. All right.
3. Conservation of energy holds.
It doesn't mean anything, conservation of energy in what form? 1/2 mv squared or in the form of momentum? All right, I would argue that yes, conservation of momentum always holds. Conservation, as Professor Lewin said, nature can finagle the fuck out of kinetic energy. It's bullshit. It's made up crap. But nature can't finagle momentum. So just keep ignoring, just keep pretending this isn't the real statement of science, that momentum has to be conserved.
And in particular, you cannot gain energy out of nowhere.
Right, and obviously by your own theory, you're gaining energy out of nowhere. Okay, mgH is energy out of nowhere. You're only in the gravity twice as long, you're only going twice as fast, you're only doubling the weight. How can you possibly claim you have 4 times the energy? That's gaining energy out of nowhere.
These are things that not even draft science would dispute.
Well, obviously I would dispute every one of these statements because it has a bunch of jargon in it. Conservation of energy holds. It doesn't mean anything. You can't conserve both kinetic energy and momentum in any experiment where the weight changes. So any experiment where the weights are different, you can't hold it. So, yeah, he's just such a creepy, cruddy, shitty human. This is such baby talk.
According to Gary, energy is E equals mv. Okay, so take an object at height h with 0 initial velocity. Let v equals square root of 2gh.
So again, he's just going to use his formulas and give you a calculated value. The calculated value I just pointed out is completely wrong. So you tell me how we measure it. We can't measure it with a spring because you're saying springs don't work. You're saying this scale doesn't measure energy. I'm saying when I do the experiment and I let that thing drop on the scale, it's not going to have 4 times the energy when it hits the scale. It's only going to weigh twice as much. So you explain it to me. But sitting here and tell me these are my formulas, I don't believe in your formulas. I don't believe they get right answers. Oh, amazingly stupid.
Let the object freefall for a distance h over 4, absorb the energy, and store it. After
right, so he's going to do it in 1-step increments. So what happens when you do it in 1-step increments? What have you done to the time, right? So if I drop something, okay, and I let it drop 1 unit of distance, so I'm going to do a total of 4 units of distance, but I'm only going to do it 1 unit at a time, right? 1 unit at a time, 1 unit at a time. Now I've broken Galileo's point about the 1, 3, 5, 7. So we're not using Galileo's mechanics anymore. And what you're basically doing is extending the falling time to 4 seconds. Let's say it took 1 second to drop 1 unit of distance. Right? You're going to take another second to drop another unit. And then you're going to take another second to drop another unit. And then you're going to take another second to drop another unit. So you've changed the fall time from 2 seconds, if you let free fall, to 4 seconds. So now you're in the gravity twice as long. Duh!
Traveling a distance h over 4, the object should have had a speed of square root 2gh over 4, which is v over 2. So, by Gary's understanding we should have absorbed E equals mv over 2 amount of energy.
So again, this isn't what I would say, it's not my formula, it's not what I'm asserting, so blah 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 blah. But clearly I am asserting that the amount of free fall time will decide how much total energy. So obviously you're increasing the amount of time the object free falls because you never let it acquire a fast velocity. So you're always going 4.9 meters per second on average, 4.9 meters per second, 4.9 meters per second, 4.9 meters per second, because you never allow it to gain an increase in its velocity because you keep stopping it from moving and taking its energy and then moving it again and then taking its energy and then moving it again and taking its energy. So yeah, that's not a surprise.
Repeat this 3 more times, after which the object is at ground level.
Now figure out how long it took you to do that, and you'll see that that's 4 seconds of falling time. 4 seconds of falling time is obviously more than 2 seconds of time in the gravity. So yes, okay, you can do 4 hammer hits, and that'll add up to twice as much energy as the free fall hit, okay, at twice the speed. But yeah, everybody knows that. I can tap, 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 or I can whack, whack, you know, and there's going to be a different amount of energy in total applied to something.
Overall, we obtain E equals 4 mv over 2 equals 2 mv amount of energy. Okay, now use half of that stored energy E equals 2 mv to launch that same object upward with energy E equals mv. Its initial velocity will be v equals square root 2gh upward. By uniform acceleration.
Right. And so again, but what have you proven? That if you allow something to fall 4 times longer in gravity, you allow it to have 4 times the gravitational potential because it's in the gravity free falling 4 times as long. And then you use half that energy to launch it, which means you're launching it at the 1:3 ratio where the 2 units of time won't be the same units of distance. So you've changed how much distance it travels in a unit of time. So yes, it's less energy to get to that height. I argue that that proves your theory wrong. Okay, that is impossibly incongruous. I shouldn't be able to acquire the same height with half the energy.
Kinematics, the object reaches a height h, and now we return to the exact same state we started out with, but we gained an extra E equals mv amount of energy as an aside. Now we can repeat this process ad infinitum to...
So you really can't. So if he tried to repeat the process, he couldn't extract the energy. So if he drops something down the staircase, he's not going to extract the energy. He's not going to have what he's claiming to have, okay, is this... You can't create a mechanism because the mechanism will use more energy to collect the energy. Stopping something from moving is going to cost him energy. And then restarting it again, and then stopping it, and then restarting it again. So he's not going to be able to take advantage of this. So he can't show us the experiment happening, because it doesn't happen. Yeah, obviously.
Obtain free energy. Thus, we have shown that Gary's proposed notion of energy E equals mv is inconsistent with conservation of energy, which both he and I accept as true. This is a reductio ad absurdum, so Gary's notion that E equals mv is false. Note that this contradiction does not occur when you say energy is proportional to mv squared. It is Gary's wrong-headed...
Okay, he didn't show that. Okay, so I showed obviously what happens with mv squared. I showed that you have, they claim 2 equals 4. That's what happens with 1/2 mv squared. Okay, that's somehow 2 units of distance moved by the objects equals 4 units of distance. And I'll create the same energy by moving 2 units in one case and moving 4 units in the other case. And again, it just has to do with the free fall rate and Galileo's ratios. So if you can understand, it's just like the friction argument, right? So I could have thrown the friction argument in here too, that friction isn't linearly equal. The faster you go across a surface, the less contact you have with the surface, the less energy you lose to friction. So again, he's just ignoring all of those arguments, all right? And there's nothing in this argument that shows any demonstration, okay, that's realistic. He just says, I magically stop the mass from falling and I collect its energy, okay? And then I somehow magically stop it from falling again and collect its energy. Well, where did I put the energy? The energy is not going to be in the form of more pressure. I'm just keep adding the same amount of pressure, right? I'm dropping it from a distance that only creates half the velocity and half the weight. So I just keep doing 5 pounds, 5 pounds, 5 pounds, 5 pounds. And he's saying that equals 20 pounds. When no, it doesn't. You can't collect it as 20 pounds. You can't put it somewhere as 20 pounds.
Notion that leads to a contradiction, but at this stage I sincerely doubt he will accept this simple logic. If you have any...
Alright, so there's no denying that it's in the gravity twice as long. So he's saying that being in the gravity twice as long doesn't add energy. When, yes, of course it does. Free falling twice as long is going to take more energy from gravity. That doesn't solve the problem. I should just go back to the again, I could make the argument again, but I made it in the beginning of this video. So let him deconstruct my equation in the beginning of this video, because he can't do it. He won't be able to fix the fact that by his theory, okay, two objects falling a tiny distance is the same as one object falling 4 times that distance. And he's saying that makes sense. That in his theory, this one has 4 times the energy, even though they weigh exactly the same. So they weigh the same, but somehow this one has 4 times the energy. Go ahead and explain that. How can it have 4 times the energy if it only weighs twice as much? It only moves the spring twice as much. Twice this compression in the spring is somehow 4 times the energy. I can make the same compression by only using 2 units of energy, distance. How is it possible? Alright, so let's see if there's any comments. There's a couple now. Okay, well, I should see what kind of wacky comments are on this video. We'll see. Well, Steve, so Mindless is now pinning Steve's comments. Oh, I mean, they're just so up at each other's asses. It's such a pile of shit. Let's see. And this looks like a nothing comment, right? There's not even a more button on this. Just to point out that once more, my reply to one of your comments is only publicly revealed after clicking sort by newest. Your comment, starting with thank you for the dedication, which was itself a reply to my comment. Oh, whatever. If nothing else, it helps Al Gore rhyme. I don't know what that means. Alright, let me just see newest first. Probably not going to get anything different. So, pinning a piece of crap. Okay, got it. Alright, so this is where he says the second live stream again. So, just absolute. So, he's just putting the same comments on different videos. Ugh. Who doesn't hate that tactic? Oh, let's see what Steve Garfey says. Oh, look at all this crap. Okay. Mate, all this accusations and lecturing are confession by projection. Jargon by Jargenia. He ought to start his own company, Jargenia. Where he just makes up jargon for people to say to each other. Oh, you need an answer? Yeah, well, here's some jargon. Doesn't it sound like an answer? Yeah, there's no answer in it. It's just jargon. Okay. All this talk about insincerity, not caring about truth, lying, and dishonesty. Yes. Not understanding the basics, slandering, being a child so he had to fix that. Yeah, so he's a big accuser. He's saying, when I argued that they shouldn't lower the age of consent, he says I was supporting child molesting. So by arguing against lowering the age of consent, I was a CP'er. Yeah. Amazing. Everything makes perfect sense when you realize he's scolding the video image of himself. I don't know what that could mean. On the monitor in front of him as he talks. I'm what? I can't even see the outgoing image when I'm reading the text. I mean, it's, but anyway. That's why I've made mistakes where I don't have the right window open, and like right now I should check. Oh yeah, it's the right one. Okay, we're okay this time. I mean, it's just so, they just keep making up stories. What does this have to do with anything? Anyway, I'm somehow manipulating this video as I'm making it. I'm manipulating you because I'm winking my eye at the right angle, and it's causing a diffraction brain function inside your head. I have all these secret tricks to, control you. It's just that would be cool. I mean, I would like to be Mr. Spock, but yeah, I just don't have those kind of things. It's the same when a counselor, so you would know about counselors, I guess, tells a client to imagine himself standing in front of him. Yeah, so the client can tell him what he thinks he needs to hear. I don't even know what that could mean. It's the same as when a counselor tells a client to imagine himself standing in front of him, so the client can tell him what he thinks he needs to hear. Can't fucking figure out what the hell that's about. That's typically done in the broader context of learning how to be kind to yourself. What is this babble? But Gary reveals that underneath all the bluster, he loathes himself. So again, these are the same people who call me a vain, narcissistic, self-lover, all that kind of crap. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. A claim. I mean, clearly I am a narcissist. Clearly I have a tremendous amount of appreciation for how marvelous I am, and I have a disdain for how poorly you people function. I mean, it's just, if I could make the world out of me, I would. I mean, all me, all the time? Super. If I was the only person making videos, I'd be watching all my videos. It would be incredibly fun. I would love to clone myself and just take over the world. Yes, if there has to be a world, it should be all me. I just can't, it's just so funny when somebody says there's any evidence that I don't like me. Oh, I just don't know where you could get that from. I mean, I wish I wasn't getting old. I wish lots of things that, where I'm degrading with time, but, I can't fix any of that. But I'd still always rather be me than you. Alright, while paradoxically being self-admitted grandiose narcissist, whatever that, I'm a narcissist, whatever the fuck you want to define that as, but, obviously I think it's a perfectly reasonable narcissism. And in the context of these very conversations, it's really insanely reasonable because clearly I'm the only one who can do any kind of honest logic applied to evidence. And you people can't. Okay, you really fall for all this bullshit. Dark matter, woo space, 4th, 5th, 10th dimensions. I mean, your brains are completely in shit. They're soaked in shit. Alright. Who has said he laments others not finding him as fascinating as he finds himself. I don't think I've ever said that, so that's just too silly. I never said that, so that's not a quote. I've clearly said I find myself much more fascinating than other people. Yes, I'd much rather watch my videos than anybody else's. which is the textbook paradox of cluster B grandiose narcissism. So, gee, wasn't that a great physics argument? I mean, he sure put all of the dots in a row and such, right? I mean, man, that really connected all the physics dots. God, amazing crap. I mean, amazing crap. All right, Norm MacDonald said, the only thing an old man can tell a young man is that it goes fast, real fast, and if you're not careful, it's too late. How exactly are you careful anyway? I'm just curious how you would do this careful thing while it's fastly going. So your life is fastly moving, and you're supposed to be careful, and by being careful, somehow you'll get more out of your life. When no, the more careful you are, that means you did all that thinking and blah blah blah, and you're, you know, in some respects, you're going to lose out. But yes, on balance, I'd say you have to waste some of your life being careful. Just like in driving or anything else, you have to go slow, take a little time to get there, to eliminate all kinds of, you know, possibilities, negative possibilities. So you have to try to take the negative possibilities out of the equation, and that takes time. Of course, the young man will never understand the truth. Boo, 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 boo. So really, he says this is somehow relevant to this physics conversation. Gary, in the process of finding this out, I just, amazing statement. I mean, I have already talked about how the fact is that my life has been sort of built out of that very fact that I never took chances, and I didn't get VD, and I didn't do a lot of things that I could have fallen into, because I was careful and I wanted to do things right. Anyway, suspect getting older is making him acutely aware of how insignificant his life and YouTube efforts are going to end up being. So that's just another silly comment. I have no vision of future failure. Now, I do have a vision of, you know, I'm just not going to be able to enjoy, okay, the work I put into this life, you know, by watching assholes like you get your comeuncance. You know, that's disappointing, because I really would like to watch that. I mean, the illusion of karma is a beautiful thing to watch, you know. Karma videos are just, you know, they are brilliant. And so I would like to see you choke your last. So I am disappointed that I may not be able to see that. All right, getting older, making him acutely aware of the instance of blah, 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 and going to end up being. Right, so I don't have any perception that my side, okay, isn't going to win. Okay, it's just how long will it take? That's all. It's just a matter of time. Yours is the side that has nothing on its side except shit talking, shit thinking, shit logic, shit everything. You are just such shitty, lying, cruddy human beings. I mean, the very fact that you would post this moronic pile of tripe on a physics video just demonstrates how clueless you are. I mean, should I make a video about, you know, what's that, you know, the guy that's kind of really gay, you know, the physicist. Should I make a video and say this is why he believes in what he believes is because he's a little wooey girl? You know, is that what I should do? I mean, it's just so useless. I mean, you can't do better than this crap. All right, anyway, which doesn't sit well with his inflated aspirations. So again, just a pile of crap. I mean, this story couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, there's not an element in this tripe that is the truth, except, yes, getting older sucks. So I think anybody who's getting older would admit that. Anyway, it almost sounded like a small concession when at 8 minutes into his second hour, So he can't say a minute and 8 seconds. I mean, you know, he can't say an hour and 8 minutes in. Oh, amazing. He acknowledged that at least mindless marbles and Brozo, etc., are only ones providing a counter argument. And that's a good thing? I mean, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of me offering the money, is to get somebody in this conversation that has a brain so we don't have to waste time with morons like you. I mean, really, do you think I would bother even looking at your channel if there was somebody else making these arguments that could speak English, could make some kind of sense? Of course not. I wonder if he will deal with our counter argument then. Where have you put this counter theory? I have asked for it for 2 years. I've asked you to explain how a lever works. Draw a lever and explain what it does. Does it convert momentums or does it not convert momentums? Could you just do that, you fucking piece of shit? Okay. Oh, he commented to himself. He let her backtrack, saying nobody has explained how friction works. Yes, so go ahead, do that one even. Or how bowling, yes, go ahead, show me how bowling balls work. Show me how the 8-pound ball going twice as fast, let's say it goes twice as fast, show me how it has twice as much energy. That is, that pins acquire more momentum than the ball has. That for your theory to be correct, the ball has to produce more momentum. The free energy accusation goes both ways, moron. So what you have to prove to say your kinetic energy theory is right, you have to show more momentum in the pins. You have to show how the pins, when I calculate all the momentum of the pins, they have more momentum than the ball has. That's your obligation. So show me, fuckhead. Show me your diagram of a bowling ball encountering pins and how the momentum is distributed. Because you're going to have to show me how it doubles somehow. You fucking lying, weaselly piece of shit. Okay, I mean to even bring up the fact that you have not explained anything about your theory of energy. Okay, works, or how the lever works, or how to see, or now I see our mistake. He answered a different question he previously asked. How silly of us. Again, I have been asking for the same thing for 2 fucking years. And you will not do it. Alright. If you've got the coward on the back foot, you can't face his decision or even my 7-second video replicating his own experiment. So what a lie. He didn't replicate anything I did. Oh, it's just amazing. Let's see what this MC guy says. Are you sure you didn't forget to add the MV going downward before you subtract the downward momentum from the upward momentum? Ooh, I don't think momentum and energy are the same. What are they then? But I think momentum should remain the same in this situation. So again, you have to choose one. I just don't know why people can't understand. You have to choose. Oh, okay. So here's another Garvey comment. Let's see this one. How long is it? Oh, well, I'll go look at the chat before I face that. More psychobabble, I am sure. So let's see if anyone's saying much here. Quick argument. Yeah, that should be it. Right. Well, that's not much. And then we have it deleted. And then Mindless Marbles has no integrity. His thumbnail shows it. Yes, of course. The fact that Mindless Marbles thinks you can have an honest experiment with no springs and levers is just an energy experiment, right? An honest experiment with no springs and levers is just plain dishonest. Yeah, how do you extract the energy? So how do you do your, I'll let it fall and collect the energy, and then I'll let it fall and collect the energy, and then I'll let it fall and collect the, So he should show us how he's doing that. I don't know if you could do it electrically, right? I mean, the simple truth is, like I said, it is energy from gravity. So the fact is, you can get more energy dropping something by dropping it slowly. More total energy. I'm just saying Galileo's ramp proves it. His ramp is getting hot. So he's creating the heat of the ramp, plus he ends up with the velocity of the object at the end. So clearly Galileo's ramp is collecting more energy from gravity, right? Having it roll down the ramp and end up at the same speed it would be if it fell free-falled Well, that's sort of proving that I not only got the impact, the velocity, the speed of the object, I also got the heated ramp. So clearly, by slowing something down, by forcing it to stay in the gravity, you can extract more energy. But it's just like me holding this weight. I can't make a device that can collect that energy. I can't make the device that'll do it. Holding this up is just wasting energy. I can't just make a machine that holds something up and collects the energy. It just doesn't work. Because I have to create the object that's connected to the ground. I have to create the sink. And the energy will just slip right through me and into the ground, and I'll lose it. Because I can't disconnect myself from the earth, and the earth is going to steal the extra energy. Let's see. I'm just checking whether I was unblocked. Okay, well, I guess you are then. Congratulations. Alright, so we'll go back to the stupid Garvey comment. I really shouldn't read his comments because he's beneath contempt. Way beneath it. I mean, it's such useless tripe. Let's see, I guess I could keep that somewhere where I can see it. And that would be helpful. So I'll move that over there so I can see that, and then I can read this crap. Okay. Gary doesn't speak calculus. So again, there's nothing special about calculus. It's an averaging function. So you're taking something complicated, you're breaking it into little pieces and then adding the little pieces together. And it's really just an average. So it just depends on how many pieces you're willing to break something into, how specific or precise it is. So you can make it very crude. So you can crudely look at a curved line and say, well, it goes up over this mean line, about 60 here, and it goes about 65 down here, so I'll average it out. You can do it really simple, or you can do it more complicated. But that's all it is. It's just averaging out something's an event over time. It's not magic. The language used for arguing physics. So I'd say that's part of your problem. That's why you don't know how to do physics. Okay, it's because that's really not the language of physics. The language of physics is motion. Matter and motion. That's the language of physics. It's just about how much mass is there, and it's just about what's it moving. That's always the right question to ask in physics. Okay. He argues physics with rhetoric. You argue with psychobabble. Okay, he's the equivalent of someone who doesn't understand Japanese, asserting that Japanese grammar is wrong. So he's taking a very specific example from something he specifically might know because he lives in Japan. What I understand from Japanese grammar is that it's all about, you just change the meaning of the word by changing what gesture you put with the word. But whatever. I don't even know how you do that on paper, frankly, but whatever. He claims it's all just theory and there aren't any real world experiments proving Japanese grammar works, so that's even bizarre. He's making a parallel to some obscure idea about some controversy about Japanese grammar. I mean, his analogy is so narrow and bizarre. While everyone who understands how it works proves that it works by getting reliable and predictable results when using it to communicate. So he's saying that somehow there's this ton of evidence proving 1/2 mv squared when they don't have a single shred of experimental evidence. There's no experimental evidence. Nothing. There's no intuitional evidence. There's no intuition that says I'm going twice as fast, I'll compress the spring 4 times as much. That's not anyone's intuition. If I put that on a test or I put it on a game show and we ask the question, well, how far will a spring compress if it's going twice as fast? 4 times isn't going to be the common answer. I mean, you're just so full of shit. It's just amazing shit. And bad results when violating the rules. So, and again, who does all this rule violating? Stephen Bro. I don't need no stinking quick release. Okay. He thinks drawing squiggles, so that's that's how much respect they show for the simple idea that it's a mechanical system and you should be able to draw a picture of it. So he calls a lever a squiggle. He calls something dropping in gravity a squiggle. On a whiteboard of what he believes Kenjai, I don't know what that is, Kenjai, should look like is the same as proving this guy really is nuts. Who could read this and say, I get what he's saying totally. Yeah, that Japanese grammar thing, I'm sure, yeah, I totally understand what he's talking about. Proving that what Kenjai do in fact look like. I don't know what the fuck that is. It's like a Pokemon thing or something. He then says anyone with formal training in Kenjai who disagrees with him is a dishonest liar, incapable of rational debate. No, you're clearly lying to say you have any evidence supporting your theory and any reason to argue to some rational person that they should believe besides resorting to a faith argument. You should just have faith in you. Well, that would be, I'm just suggesting to people, having faith in Brozo and this lying scum would not be a good idea. Gary's stock and trade includes word games. Okay, let's hear what these are, right? I mean, aren't you, I'm curious. What's the word game I'm playing? Okay. E.g., using energy and momentum interchangeably. Regular physics uses the word energy and the kinetic energy theorem interchangeably. They use the word energy, it's like, the whole potential energy versus kinetic energy, when really that's an argument about potential energy versus active energy. So instead of using the right terminology, they imply that the kinetic energy theory must be right because it's the only kind of energy there is. What a pile of crap. So he says, straw man misrepresentations. So what exactly is this kinetic energy? I'm just saying, if you're going to say something there's something other than mass and velocity, that is, something that can be measured, something's mass and velocity. You're saying that somehow the velocity means twice as much energy. I'm saying there's no experiment that shows that. So go ahead and show me where increasing velocity exponentially increases energy. Show me some experiment that demonstrates there is this extra energy. Show me that when something drops from 4 times the height and weighs only twice as much, show me that it made 4 times the damage to the ground. Show me that there's some evidence somewhere that it's really 4 times the energy and you just don't get it. But you can't show a single experiment. Oh, just these people, this is desperate lying. I mean, he can't know that there's no way he believes he's not lying when he claims that somehow he has a shred of evidence defending his theory. He can't show one fucking piece of experimental evidence demonstrating this increase in energy, increase in capacity to move matter. Show me it moving more matter. Show me it producing more thrust for a rocket engine. Show me some example where your theory works. Alright, anyway. Claiming to throw lighter things makes more energy. I.e., his objection to the claim that throwing lighter things makes more energy, when in fact the actual claim is that the lighter object traveling with significantly higher velocity than the heavier body has more KE. Well, what the fuck is KE? Is it more energy or is it not? Right? So I'm claiming that, yes, you're saying it has more energy. You're saying, no, it only has more KE. Well, what the fuck is KE? Oh, amazing. Bottom line, he isn't interested in the arguments. Oh, I'm begging for them. Okay, but I'm not interested. There's no sign I'm interested. I'm only willing to pay for them. Okay, I'm begging from them, from people who can't, produce any, value, frankly. In terms of viewership of the argument, participation in the argument. Amazing. He's only interested in the arguing. Oh, just so stupid. No, I'm interested in a rational, relevant counter-argument, and you can't produce one. Alright, so we can't be logical empiricists. He's dangerous because he just always doxes people, and you know. So we'll just read the part that shows here. He will be interested in the intention of the idiots who fall for him. So again, including old fans, whatever. He wants attention because he does not get any, whatever AFK is. He actually has convinced a small minority of idiots who go wherever. Oh, we did use my name again. Okay, never mind. All right. So we'll just zoom past that crap again. So this is the ethics of these people. I mean, they are just doxing on their channels. They don't do anything about it. They don't give a fuck, okay? Being reasonably ethical. So again, if I out you people, I mean, again, I know Piro's real name. Should I publish it? Just to be fair? You know, I mean, you people really are scum. If anyone thinks there's an issue with this argument, or if you think Gary has made arguments that must be addressed, feel free to voice it here. You know. Oh, you think they didn't realize they could comment? Oh, amazing. Yeah, so he's begging for somebody to make a comment that's rational. Sorry, your friends won't be able to accomplish that task. Alright, so no point. Too stupid. Alright, so enough of that crap. Ugh, disgusting. These people really are disgusting. Oh, I guess we should see if Brozo made a new video. You know, just because he's promising to post some kind of crap. But he promises and promises and he never produces. So, we'll just click on his channel page and see. Ah, look at this. There's some kind of new thing. Alright. So he's debunking a quick release. I mean, it's just such an amazingly stupid thing to do. To say, I'm going to debunk quick release as a good idea. Well, let's go ahead and play it. I mean, it's just got to be too stupid. Alright. Hey, no commercial. Yet. Alright, so let's see. I'll read it first. Let's see what it says here. This is just too stupid. Debunking Gary's excuse that a quick release mechanisms are essential for valid experiment. Not so. So it just, what logic could you possibly be applying that there could be any advantage, anything but advantage, to quickening the release mechanism in an experiment? I mean, Professor Lewin went to the dramatic theater of using a blowtorch to burn a wire to ensure a quick release. So he went to the dramatic, point of using a blowtorch to cut a wire to, illustrate the importance of quick release. And this moron says, no, you don't need any of that. How could these results have been any more consistent? ? The same results every single time until we change weights. Then it comes out consistent with the KE formula. He's a charlatan. So somehow I'm the charlatan because I'm saying a quick release is always a good idea.
So just a basic demonstration.
11 minutes.
To show that.
So he has all this crap on top of it again. What the fuck? What kind of moron does this? Look at the video, except you can't see it. Oh, invalidates results due to inconsistencies. It invalidates results because you're consistently inconsistent, moron. The quick release is always not any good. Your hand is always doing the same thing, which is slowing it down. You dumb fuck. God, how could he be this fucking stupid? The argument against using your fingers isn't that sometimes you do your fingers right and then sometimes you do your fingers wrong. The argument is that it's always going to steal some of the energy. Oh, you're just so stupid. But there are no inconsistencies. Every run comes out 15.5 with the 2 kilogram cart, 11 for the 4 kilogram cart, released by hand, pushed against a wall by hand. Let's understand, he's not only using his hand to release them, he's using his hand to compress the springs. I mean, it's that fucking bad. Oh, man, what a fucking piece of shit this guy is. Alright, I'm not watching 11 minutes of this turd.
this has low friction.
Whatever. Let's just move along. I mean, I'm not going to watch a video through text. Okay, does it through the whole video? Fuck it. I mean, fuck it. I mean, who the fuck is going to watch a video transparently with text on top of it? I mean, who the fuck does something this stupid? Watch the video, except don't, because it's fucking all blurred out and you can't see anything. I mean, I can't believe he could be this fucking moronic. He really has no fucking clue. Oh, God. I mean, so you're saying nobody can be that fucking stupid. He did not just do that. He did not just play an 11-minute video with the same fucking stupid words posted on top of it for the whole fucking video. Like the person watching the video can't read your 4 sentences and then be done with it. Oh, God damn it. You just, nobody could be that stupid. Nobody can be that fucking stupid. Oh, God, I hate that fucker. Anyway, let's see what Tim says. Alright, you have a live video for 2 days ago, March 27th. Can you look at my comment there, please? I don't know. Whatever, fine, whatever. I mean, I don't know why you didn't paste it on yesterday's video or this video, but whatever. Okay, fine. Kinetic energy is no different than dark energy. Both are hopeful religious notions. Well, look, dark energy is even more abstract, so I'd say they are different in that sense. But kinetic energy is just a gigantic, stupid, ignorant mistake. I mean, it clearly shows a misunderstanding of how gravity works. So it's all just a derivative of a false notion of how gravity works. Okay, gravity is a time-dependent force. You gain your energy from gravity while the gravity is affecting you. Through the time it's affecting you. And without time, you don't get any effect. And the more time, the more effect. All right. We can't get the energy in a reality with no free in it. We can't get the free energy in a reality with no free in it. Okay, so it's kind of wordy play that's unnecessary, but yeah, I don't even think they've thought that far ahead. I mean, you could just call them wishful thinking for free energy, but most physicists know there's no free energy, so they know they have to steal it from someplace, and yet they still believe in this moronic formula that was never proven. So that's pretty stupid. All right, let me just go see what Tim's comment that's so urgent is. Ugh. Alright, I don't see a new comment. So, I don't know where you posted it, but it's not showing up. I don't see any new comments on my videos. So, let's see. It must be a response to a response or something. Let's see, I don't even see the responses here. Well, see, you were blocked. And so, whatever, if you respond to another comment, I don't think it's going to show up. I think you have to make a new comment. Well, anyway, I mean, you're just making this very complicated, frankly, and I really don't need complicated. Yeah. So, fuck it. Post a comment on yesterday's video or someplace where I might have a chance of finding it, but I just don't see it anywhere. I have to go find the video from 3 days ago or whatever. Ugh, shit. I mean, people are just so... Do it my way. Alright, MV versus 1/2 MV. Alright, let's see if it's on there. Don't see it. So it's not on the video from 4 days ago. Alright, so let's see what video this is. I think this is yesterday's video, so it's not going to be on that one either. No, this is the day before that, so this is 2 days ago. Alright, I'll refresh it, but I don't think there's any comment there. Too bad, no comment. So it didn't post yet, or it's invisible. Let me try newest first or something, but I don't think that'll change anything now. So I don't see any comment. Let's see. So 3:28:23. We'll see. I'll give you one last chance. Nope. So for whatever reason, your comments are not showing up yet. As far as I can tell. So try again or some kind of crap like that. So what's this weird icon? This is fucked up. Alright, so somebody posted a comment on with a fake draft science icon? What the fuck? I have to go see what that is. Some alien head? It looks like my channel. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. How could somebody post under my account with a different icon? I mean, that's a bizarre hack. I don't know how they did that. I mean, can you see this? I mean, look at this icon. Where the hell did this come from? The channel is my channel. I mean, I can think it is. UCA, whatever all that crap is. 4W. Let's see, 4W, yep. It's my channel. Look at this icon. I never made this icon. I never had this alien head icon. How the fuck? You know, it's just so strange. How the fuck did they do that? I mean, really, I never had an icon like this. Nothing. I mean, not even close. How the fuck is this icon on my comments? Let me go to the video. Well, that's just the fucking icon. That's not going to help. Can you see this? Oh, no, you can't see it. Okay, let me show you this. This is really weird. Yeah, Firefox. Okay, this is my comments, you know. And look at this one. This channel is my channel. This icon. It links to my channel. And it's not my icon. It's an alien head. It's not my icon. How can they do that? How can that happen? I mean, it's just bizarre. How do they do that? I can't. Look, see, if I open this, it goes to my channel. I mean, he couldn't have duplicated everything on my channel, could he? No, it's got to be the same because the number's the same. Just bizarre. I mean, if you said it was just a random channel, you know, like they made some kind of random mistake and a random icon came up, why isn't it an alien's head? I mean, it's just too strange. Well, anyway, god damn. YouTube bugs. Very interesting. But anyway, your comment isn't showing quite obviously. Okay, it's just not here. I guess I could go to held to review. I don't see anything there. 12 days ago. Why are they blocking these? That's funny. Let's see. They are going to track you and work to control you and make you pay for all their bullshit. I don't know what that is about. Johnny D. Can you go over blah blah blah's theory? He was an outsider like you, so you might find him appealing. I don't think I will. But I'll look. I wonder why this guy gets dissed by YouTube. I recently stumbled upon your channel, and man, I absolutely hooked on your unique and daring perspective on physics. The way you're not afraid to challenge widely accepted theories with your own explanations is incredibly captivating. Yeah, good. And then that guy's 3 weeks ago. Some Russian thing. Sorry for the spam, but people. Alright, so that's more about some other subject. Oh, look at the McCule guy. I haven't seen him in a while. My post about gravitate. Oh, that's 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago. Oh, okay. I don't know. You know, it's supposed to, it says right here, comments that are removed after 60 days. You know, they're not removed after 60 days. It's 3-year-old comments in there. Anyway, that was funny. Alright, so anyway, Tim Guy, I don't know what to tell you. Try commenting again someplace else, or just send me emails or whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever. You have some point to make your point. I'll read your point and I'll explain why I don't like your point. So, no problem. So just email me. And such. Alright, let's go back to this other thing. Get rid of this. And reopen the chat. Where the fuck is it? That should be it. Alright, so let's see. Okay, you have a video of, okay, yeah, so sorry, I don't see your comment. Kinetic energy is no different than dark. Okay, we did that. Tim Johnson's, why don't you just copy and paste your comment? Because you can't paste more than 200 characters in the chat. I find it strange that some comments won't show on this live stream comment section. Oh, I guess I should have it on live chat. Yeah. I don't know if that makes any difference, but it doesn't appear to have made any difference. Alright, that's bizarre. Yeah, so break up what you want to say in sections. Yeah, that just seems kind of inefficient, but whatever. I don't know if you can post the whole... Yeah, I mean, you could just do it in 3 pieces or something. I don't know how many words his comment contains, but whatever. We'll see what he decides to do. I'm not checking emails now. That's just way... that's way too demanding. Multitasking to deal with email at the same time as comments and other crap, so fuck that. Getting tired anyway. Yes, we're getting close to 2 hours. Alright, I know that this is off topic, but would you know how to contact or send money to Snake Plisskenus? The trick is, or I can't tell, see the problem is I can't tell you which video it is. I'm trying to think now if I remember the video. He gives his phone number, okay? So in a video from like 2 days ago, he gives his phone number. So you can call him. Now, I don't know if he has some way you can send him. Like, obviously you could send him cash or something, I guess. I don't know if he still has any kind of PayPal account or credit card thing or any other kind of way to make a electronic payment. I mean, he hasn't made any of that clear. So, I mean, part of me says, you know, it's his money down the drain because, you know, he doesn't have any infrastructure, so, you know, the money will just be, you know, burned. But, you know, but yeah, it is also clear that, you know, the safety net, there really isn't a safety net for single males. You know, they're just supposed to go out on the street and die. And so, yeah, it is tough with no money to live homeless. So, yeah, I can't say that not giving money is not a good idea. I can't, you know, I'm just saying I can't, you know, I can't tell people it's a good idea to go try to help him because I don't know if the money will actually help him. I mean, he needs to be in a better circumstance, so maybe he needs to go to the hospital first, okay, and get himself, you know, settled, and then get into some halfway house or some way where he can, you know, take on less of the responsibility for his own existence. I mean, in a way, he needs to be declared crazy, so the, you know, he can be put into some assisted living thing. I mean, once you can't, you know, just once it's not viable, you know, for you to get enough employment to pay your bills, you know, you're just stuck. You know, it's really scary, you know, that this kind of shit can happen to people, you know, who he's not a moron. And not that morons deserve it, but I'm just saying, you know, if it can happen to people who aren't a moron, you know, it just brings it home that, you know, there's so little between, you know, being all right and not being all right in terms of having, you know, like I said, every time I get a little bit pissed off about my shitty circumstances, I just say, gee, I'm so fucking lucky. You know, I really, you know, I don't have to eat garbage. I have to eat shit, you know, cheap shit, but I mean, I don't have to eat garbage. But it is tough to watch, I have to concede. I am, you know. I mean, it's the other point is that he's just basically showing, in so many ways, he's validating all the arguments I've made about just how dismal life is. Because you're just watching him being killed by it, you know, heartbroken by the women, you know, all the little murders that take place, and it's just like every little bit of you eventually just gets, you know, torn to pieces. It's pretty unfortunate how you can be just thrown out in the streets and people can just look the other way. Yeah, well, I don't blame people for being afraid of homeless people. I mean, it's clear that they're dangerous motherfuckers. Too many of them are. And so it's, you know, part of that is understandable. But, I mean, what should be understood is that these people need to be in a zoo. You know, I mean, Snake Plissness belongs in a zoo. You know, he belongs in some safer environment. Not that he's a threat to anybody, but I just mean, you know, their control mechanisms are dysfunctional. And I mean, I'd be the same. Look, if I didn't have my zoo, if I didn't have my specific needs met in my environment, you know, I'd be a menace. Because you fight back. It's like some guy being beaten by the cops. You know, he's going to keep trying to get out of the circumstance because he's being harmed and hurt. And then the moronic cops are saying, stay here and take it. You know, it's like, stop resisting. What do you mean? I'm supposed to stop resisting being beaten? I mean, it's such a ludicrous argument. Yeah, he is. That rage thing is a little spooky, but I just mean I think he's way too smart to ever randomly commit an act of violence, so I don't think he would ever be able to defend harming something. You know, as much as he's a nihilist, I just don't think he could do it. I mean, he would understand the waste of it. That, you know, he's not going to fix his problems by causing somebody else pain. It just isn't going to work. I mean, it's impossible for me to understand these people that, you know, I mean, there was another one of those school shooting things, right, by some woman this time. Well, whatever, half and half, whatever, you know, a mannequin, whatever you call them. Whatever. Okay, I don't want to be insulting. I'm just saying somebody in some sort of flux, and I'm just saying, what the fuck? I mean, how can you make targets out of kids? I mean, what the fuck is wrong with your brain? I mean, they're to blame for something. You know, I can't understand how people can pick targets so poorly. There's so much scum in the world. I mean, they can't find a better piece of scum to take out their anger on. Just too silly. I mean, I can, you know, I'm not bad at doing this psychology thing. You know, I can play the game pretty well about, you know, trying to extract people and dissect their psychoses and all that kind of shit, and I just can't make any sense of it. I can't sit there and deprave my brain enough to figure out how I could ever make myself think it was a good idea to go shoot kids. I just can't make that possible. But anyway, it's kind of a side subject, but yeah, it is a, it's the kind of thing, I want to talk about, but it's just too, there's no fixing it from here. But it does put out the whole, illegal thing in context too. We don't have enough resources to take care of the people that are already here. And to say, bring on some more huddled masses, it just doesn't make any sense. We're already huddled massed to the max. We got no more huddled masses beds. We have less than we did have. Because unfortunately the huddled masses destroy everything. You give them a bathroom and they clog it up. You make a mess out of it. I mean, just, you know what I mean? You can't, you have to really put all these, they have to be on leashes. You can't let these people run loose, because they do just fuck everything up. Yeah, well, psychosis is a tricky word. I think people just get in really fucked up thought chains. So it's not really a psychosis. It's the underlying thing. I mean, Snake, he keeps trying to get to the underlying thing, like somehow he just needs approval or something. He's trying to reduce it to some kind of thing that he's after. But the truth is, he's a chess player playing checkers. Okay, he just can't do it anymore. The game is too stupid. All right, and he's trying, that's what the whole God thing is, right? The whole God thing is him trying to make this a more interesting game, because it's too stupid a game. Life is a stupid game. And he won't say those words, but that's at the core of it. He's recognized that it doesn't go anywhere. It is monotonous. It is tedious. It's just full of a bunch of obligations and I gotta go, I gotta do, I have to take care of, I have to, and that's all it is. It's just this move from one problem to another 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 problem. I mean, and it's just monotonous and tedious. And he's full up on that. And he's demanding that life do something more interesting, and that rebellion, is fine for you to do it mentally, but you can't do it physically. There's no physical rebellion. You can't deny the function of the body. I suppose this is going to be a problem for a lot of people, because all this Henry Potter stuff and kids growing up on Henry Potter and the Ring thing, all this, like somehow you're going to be a wizard or something, like somehow you're going to have control mechanisms and you're going to be able to win, and it just doesn't work that way. Well, it really doesn't have to be as bad as it is, frankly. I mean, the mess could be a lot less of a mess if we spent a little money on rewarding good behavior and, instead of doing the opposite, rewarding bad behavior. We're paying attention to the squeaky wheels. We're doing all that kind of really stupid stuff that we shouldn't be doing. I mean, again, how much, we're going to spend probably millions and millions of dollars on the psycho who killed these kids. What for? To reclamate? To do what? What's the point of it? Squish it. I mean, fuck. It's a badly behaving bug. Anyway, this is a stupid game. I don't understand how people can wake up every day and not see we're going nowhere with all this struggle. Giving people impossible goals, and then when one is ripe, give them a target, and we'll take it. And will take it. I don't know. All will take it, I guess. There's nothing, in my opinion, globalism is not the problem, but whatever. You want to think that's the problem, that's okay. I mean, America is a festering, exploitinist nation, so we gained all of our benefits from enslaving and exploiting and, just grotesquely taking advantage and thieving and stealing and all of that crap. So it's not like we did it the right way and the rest of the world is doing it the wrong way. It's just both ways are wrong. Sloppy is wrong. Exploitness is wrong. So, I mean, I'm just saying that you can create civilization and make it universal. And that's perfectly sensible in my opinion. But whatever. Physics has gotten messy like a lot of academics. Well, frankly, I'm just saying that it started getting messy in 1678. Okay? And it really got messy in 1737 or whatever, when this stupid woman propagandized for this moronic theory. I mean, I'm just saying it's the root of so much evil in physics. This 1/2 mv squared is that's the little core of magic wand that they've used to create everything else. The neutrinos and all the space energy, all of it is all created out of this stupid squared velocity nonsense. All right, he got out of homelessness once before through hard work. Yeah, well, that's the trick. How many times can you do that, right? But once he got his own place again, he started going downhill. Yeah, well, again, his life got too tedious. It's also, look, you can't pretend that the drugs don't have something to do with it. He starts doing the psychology enhancing stuff with the Adderall and pot and the rest of it, and all that shit doesn't help you. I mean, you got to find that you can walk. There's no point in putting your bouncy shoes on. You got to be able to walk straight. Walking straight isn't going to work. When you got your little, So that's just my opinion. I mean, frankly, I don't see you're not going to have a success rate. If you don't follow those kind of rules. There's some rules you got to follow. I'm not saying you should go to some 12-step moronic kind of thing, but you do have to set these trigger points where you just say, if I violate one of these rules, I'm basically assigning myself failure. And it's got to be a rigid rule that you just don't go back to doing any of that crap until you really, got money in the bank, so to speak. Alright, well, I think we'll call it a day and such. So, till the next time, and we'll see how it goes. I was, like I said, well, the beginning of the video is pretty to the point, so it's just basically turning those arguments into experimental proofs, and once those proofs are well established as proofs, we have to get the right people to do the experiment so it can't be picked at. And then that's it. If frankly, it should be over the argument should be over by just saying, come on, 300 years and you don't have any evidence of this crazy theory? Come on. That's too ridiculous. I should just have to say that, and all the scientists should say, yes, until we prove it, we really shouldn't assert it. But no, they don't do that. Because, yeah, people suck. They suck at having integrity and such. Alright, so anyway, till the next time, and such, and so forth, and what